Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to learn how we can validate arrays and objects in our Laravel application. As you guys can see in here, I have created an array of emails. So when I send it, I get 200. Even if I delete it completely and don't send anything, it is still give me 200. Okay, so let's go and create a validation to make our email required. So let's go inside our Laravel project. Let's delete this and let's add our request in here. So let's type request $request. Then after that, let's create a variable with the name of validated. Then set it to $request validate, and inside this function we will create an array, and in here we will say email. So email, this should be required, and also it should be array. Now let's save this. Let's go back to our Postman, click send. Okay, it's gone. Now if we delete our array and click send, now we got the emails field is required. So let's add it. Now we can also do set a validation for the number of elements inside our array. So let's go, for example, in here I can say it should be minimum 2 elements and maximum. So I can also define the max value. So max 5. Now it means that our array at least should have 2 elements, and the maximum element that it should have is 5. So let's go save this. Let's go back to our Postman, click send. I got 200. Okay, so let's delete one of the emails. Let's click send. Now in here I got a message that the email field must have at least 2 items. Now in here I have one problem, that even if I don't send an email in here, as you guys can see, this one is not a valid email address. I can do it like this and send it. It will pass. So let's create a validation to check each item that it should be a valid email address. So let's go back to our VS Code, and below of this let's type emails dot star. It means each email should be, now we are inside our emails array. We set the validation for each item. So let's type in here each of them should be required and it should be email. Now let's go back to our Postman, click send. As you guys can see, it gave me the email.1 field must be a valid email address. So let's write a valid email address. So let's say test1 example.com. Let's click send. Okay, I got status 200, but the one problem that here I have 2 duplicate items. So what we can do in here, we can also make it unique by adding a new validation and saying this thing. Now let's go back, click send. As you guys can see, the email 0 field has a duplicate value. Another thing, if you want to change the messages of each validations, you can do also by going to here and creating a second array inside our validate function. So in here, for example, if you want to create a custom message for your email required, so you can type emails dot required and set the message you want. For example, please provide at least 1 email address. Now let's save everything and let's go back to our Postman. Let's delete the emails from here, click send. As you guys can see, I got my message. So let's add our emails. Okay, now let's go and add for each email other validations, also the other messages. For example, let's check that it should be email each of them, and also it should be this thing. What we can do in here is type emails dot star dot email. So this one, let's copy it here and let's type each email address must be valid. And also let's do it for our this thing also. So let's copy this from here. So let's copy it from here, paste it here, and this thing also after the star dot this thing. Let's what them inside the now. Let's type email should be unique. Now let's save everything. Let's go back here and let's click send. Okay, as you guys can see in here, I got email should be unique. In here, we can do one more thing, that we can also send the position of the element inside our array, so it can be more clear for the users to which email is invalid. So let's go back to our VS Code, and inside our this thing, after let's type email, and in here let's type colon position. So let's go and click send. Now, as you guys can see, we get the actual position of the item which is invalid. So email 1 should be unique, and if I scroll down in here also, I get email 2 should be unique. Now, in this part, let's see how we can validate this object where we have settings. Inside our settings, we have email and notification. So let's go to our VS Code and let's create a validation for our object. So let's open the VS Code. Let's comment this out and let's create a new validation. So let's create our variable and set it to request validate. Then our array, and in here first we need to validate it. It should have a settings. So let's type settings, and it is required, and also it should be array. Then after that we will say settings for our email dot email. It is also required, and it should be email. Type email. Then for our notification, we will also type setting dot notification, and this will also require, and this should be boolean. Let's change them to settings. Let's save. Let's go back to our Postman, click send. As you guys can see, I got 200. Let's change this to invalid email. Now, as you guys can see, the settings.email field must be a valid email address. We can also, let's change it for testing here. Let's click. The setting fields is required, and all our validation messages. Now, in this example, I have a array of products where each product have name, price, quantity. So let's see how we can create a validation for an array of this kind. So let's go back to our VS Code. Let's comment this out, and let's create a new validate variable. Then set it to request validate, and our array. First, we have to check for our product array that it should exist. So let's type products. Let's products, and it should be required, and also it should be array. Then we will type products like this, products dot all or star dot name should be required, and it should be string. Then for the product price, let's type product dot star dot price. It is also required, so let's type required, and it should be numeric, and minimum should be 0. Then after that, the quantity, so let's type product dot star dot quantity. This is also required, and it should be integer, and the minimum of this should be 1. So let's change this to for product to products. Let's go back to our postman, click send. Now in here I got a message that the product1.price field must be at least 0. Now in here, as you guys can see, it's negative. So let's remove the negative part, the minus, and let's click send again. Okay, we got the quantity validation. So let's change it to 1. Now click send again. As you guys can see, I got 200 status, which is, it means it validated. And okay, so this is it for this video. And if you want more demos of such kind, you can visit to my GitHub page and click to Laravel projects, then app, HTTP, controllers, and in here I have a controller with array validation controller. You guys can get a lot of examples in here and ideas how I validated each of objects and arrays. So this is it for this video, and if you have any questions, write it down in the comment, and don't forget to press the subscribe and like button. See you guys in the next video.